Hello, my name is Rachel, and I spend way too much time on YouTube. So, before I get started, I made a huge mistake. I put in my contacts after I did my makeup. So if my watery eyes cause my makeup to run down my face during this video, I apologize. I'm supposed to put them in first, let the watering stop, and then put on my makeup. But I was just like, I want to wear contacts. Oh well. Okay, so I was watching YouTube the other day. I've gotten into some weird YouTube like algorithms. I watch way too much like was it Penguin Zero, Moist Critical, and like CoffeeZilla. People who do the like that type of commentary. I don't know why. That's been my background noise for a while now. A lot of those types of channels. But anyway, so YouTube actually suggested this video to me, and as soon as I saw the title, I hit pause. I was like, I don't want to watch this yet. I want to react to this video. So I was able to find the gentleman who published the video. I was able to find his Instagram link from his YouTube page, and I sent him a message and asked him if it would be okay if I did a reaction to his video, and he said go for it. So that's what we're going to do. And this video is called Why I Like Goth Girls. And let's see, where's the rest of the title? Why I Like Goth Girls and How They Caused the Rising Popularity of the Goth Subculture. And I was like, that is a really cool title. I am really curious because from his channel, I do not know his exact age, but I do believe that he is definitely younger. And as a elder goth, I'll be 51 in just a couple of months here. I was just curious. I was curious how the young people are viewing goth. It's like, what is up with you young people? Hello, fellow kids. and then on the thumbnail he has, what's the deal with goth girls? So yeah, I just thought it would be a really fun video to react to. Like I said, I have not watched it at all yet. Hopefully I've learned lessons. I have my earbuds because, I can't have two sets of the volume going on. That causes issues. All right, so let me move over to the side so I'll have space to put the video up here so you guys can watch along with me. Okay, so let's get this video started. I am starting the video now.
So, I was watching an Angela Benedict video
Help if I put in the earphones.
that I'll link down below for you to watch as well, where she talks about the awful things that people in the goth subculture have to deal with, and the gross misconceptions that are linked with these atrocities. One of the big points brought up in this video is the fetishization of the goth subculture, goth girls primarily, and the effect it has on the subculture. Her video was very thought-provoking to me, and inspired me to share with you my view of the subculture, because it's something special to me, and I think it may shine a light on a specific part of the situation that isn't really being talked about, or at least not that I've seen. My hope for this video is to highlight how I think the scene has changed a bit, and hopefully get some questions answered while also posing them to you all. But before we get into this, I think it would help to share with you what I like to call my journey through Edge. So, if you've seen my 10 things I hate about being autistic video, you'll know that I briefly mentioned my Shadow the Hedgehog phase. That phase was just a smaller section of my overall journey into the Edgeverse. When I was younger, about middle school age, I started my journey with the emo scene. It was popular at the time, and all I really knew about it were the stereotypes. I molded
So I feel like I'm a little old for the emo scene because, I've been doing this goth thing since like 1991. So when the emo scene became popular, like on MySpace, I was on MySpace at the time. I never really followed it, got into it, but I do like emo music because I feel like there's obviously a lot of crossover with like goth, because like My Chemical Romance is technically emo, right? I really like them, and I'm sure there are other bands too that are technically classified as emo that I enjoy.
Those stereotypes into something that connected with me. So what I understood of the scene was special to me. I didn't really listen to the music or dress the part. Most of it was expressed through drawing, since that was the only outlet I really had at the time. Well, that and the cringy behaviors I had developed.
What's going on with me? I can't get these images out of my mind.
Wake me up inside. Wake me up inside.
As I started moving into high school, I also started watching Teen Titans reruns on TV and fell in love with Raven's character. Her deadpan expressions, her whatever attitude, her intellect, and the way she handled her emotions all did something for me.
So I've never really been a cosplayer as such, but now that I'm dating someone who is he does cosplay and is into video games and all that, I've been considering putting together a Raven cosplay. Which is very stereotypical, I think, for goths to do a Raven cosplay. But I saw a really cute Raven cosplay swimsuit for like the Colossal Con we go to that's in the water park, and I've seen some other cute Raven. I was like, I need to do this at some point. I just haven't gotten around to it yet. I haven't really gotten into cosplay for myself yet, but I really want to at some point. I'll figure that out eventually, maybe.
Evil beware. We have waffles.
Teenage me felt he could relate to her. Sometime later, I became obsessed with the show Danny Phantom and fell in love with Sam Manson. Sam exclaiming herself as a goth was, I think, the first time I had even heard the word. I started doing...
So I've never actually watched that show, but I have seen that character he's talking about. So I guess I'm familiar through like internet memes and stuff, but I'm not familiar with the show. I do watch a lot of cartoons. I just skipped that one.
Some surface level research, mostly about fashion and various memes, and decided, oh yeah, I like this. Sam then became my definition for what I thought the goth subculture was, and I began to replicate her quirks, like shunning the color pink or saying, goths don't sweat, they simmer.
Jeez, it's hot. Aren't you sweating, Sam?
Regular people sweat. Goths, we simmer.
In an attempt to become goth. I very much so wanted that label. Hey, sorry, editor spin. I just wanted to hop in here real quick and kind of expand on this point a little bit more. Characters like Sam Manson that I mentioned earlier and other stereotypically goth characters, whether they be animated or live action, are made to be that way because of the fact that they're media characters, they're cartoon and TV and video game characters. They're supposed to be exciting, they're supposed to kind of fit into stereotypes that we have, and they're supposed to be entertaining. The stuff that Sam does really does not translate well into real life. So if you were like me and you are currently using those characters to kind of base what you think the subculture is, really not an accurate description. So yeah, sorry about that though. Just wanted to hop in and kind of explain that. Back to the video. I couldn't really dress the part and I didn't know about the music then. I just wanted my peers to see me as a goth, so I relied on eccentric stereotypes to get their approval and validation. I remember hanging out with some of the edgy kids back in high school, and when I told them I was goth, they shut me down. It was rather upsetting. But I still ran with goth as my primary interest in the world of alternative culture. I continued to do more research and found other creators that also claimed to be goth, and listened to their stories and interests. A lot of them kind of faded away from my field of view as I got older and learned more about the culture, or if they just didn't post regularly. The one that persisted though, and was the most influential, was Angela Benedict. I've been watching her videos for years, and her videos taught me what it truly means to be goth and helped.
Oh, not watched Angela Benedict, but I am familiar with who she is. I mean, actually, I can't say that. I'm not really familiar with who she is. I recognize the name. I know that that's a Gothic YouTuber, but I've not watched any of her videos. Not sure why, but when I first started watching YouTube videos, I didn't watch any of the Gothic YouTubers. I didn't even know that Gothic YouTubers were a thing when I first started watching YouTube, and it would have been a simple search, but I just got into I started out with just the beauty guru stuff, and then slowly my current obsession is with the commentator guys who do a lot of the scam call out and stuff like that. But there's all these great Gothic YouTubers that I just have totally glossed over on.
Me answered a lot of questions. I now know that the subculture is centered around music and not a bunch of personality quirks. Hey, sorry, editor spin again. Sorry to stop you guys. I just wanted to hop in real quick and say, so this video has taken me a really long time to edit, and in between editing sessions, I obviously spend a little bit of time on YouTube, and I happened to come across the most perfect short by one of my favorite creators, Healthy Gamer, aka Dr. K, where he talks about what is and isn't cringe. So before I say anything else, let me just show you that clip, also link in the description down below.
If you start to think of your personality as identity, then that is cringe. So let's understand this. Let's say that you are really good with people. It's wonderful. You're extroverted, you're charismatic. The moment that you think, if you want to understand what cringe is, you can take someone who's very charismatic. What makes them cringe? Identifying as charismatic. I'm the most charismatic person in the world. Look at me. I'm so charismatic. I'm so sexy. You want me. You need me. That becomes cringe. Let's say I'm sad and I'm depressed. This is something that deserves compassion. It deserves help. It deserves support. Doesn't make you weak or anything like that. Sometimes depression happens to people. So be it. Some people make it their identity. I've had them as patients. That becomes cringe. I am depressed. I can never get better. Never get better. I can never get better. I think we should give them compassion and stuff, right? That's what we do. You're gonna love video games. I'm a gamer. Those aren't real games. A real gamer plays these games. That's cringe. So the moment that personality becomes identity, we've entered the realm of cringe.
I think that clip just perfectly summarizes exactly what it is that I'm trying to say from a mental health standpoint.
So I guess I've never really thought of it in those terms, but my version of that has always been, I don't like goths who take themselves too seriously. Like, you need to be able to laugh at yourself a little, right? So I guess that's kind of the same thing, because the goths who take themselves too seriously do make it their entire personality, and they're the gatekeepers, and they're the ones that will, chase people away from the scene, which I don't like, because the scene is important to me and I want it to grow. So I don't want people in it that are chasing other people away. Like, even if that person who's at the goth club never goes full goth, they're spending money in the club on the right night to allow the club to continue having that goth night. Because, like, when you chase everyone away and there's only those 12 uber goth people hanging out, the bar's going to shut it down because they're not going to be making money. Okay, I think I went a little off there. My tangent was probably a little off subject there. But anyway, let's move on. Let's keep watching this video.
About this type of thing in the culture. So he gave examples about being charismatic or even being a gamer. And I feel like for the goth community, that would be things like, pointing out anytime there's, something spooky on screen, or like, going out of your way to act so stereotypically like a vampire or whatever else. Like, people don't do those things, and real goths don't do those things either. None of those things are what makes a goth person, according to what I've learned from Angela and other goth creators. Goth is a music-based subculture, and if you like it authentically, you will listen to the music, you will appreciate the music, and the music will inspire everything else, the style of dress and everything else. Okay, back to the video. Okay,
so I actually did my own video on the whole, what's more important, the music or the clothing. And honestly, this goes back to the rant I just did. My conclusion was, because yes, I enjoy the music, but I'm not someone who studies it and can tell you the history and all that sort of stuff. And I can't necessarily listen to a song and tell you exactly who the artist is, except for anything Concrete Blonde, because that's like my favorite. And probably Ego Likeness, which is also one of my favorites. Anyway, the conclusion I came to in my video, because I do personally tend to be more fashion-based, but for me, the most important thing is the scene, is the community. Like, whatever it takes to keep that community alive. So I am still going to go to the shows, even if, I'm not, oh my God, I can't wait to see whatever this band is. I mean, in a few cases I have that. But for the most part, I'm just like, live music isn't always my thing. So like, for me, it's about the community. I go to support the community. I support the Gothic musicians, especially the modern ones, the ones who are currently making music now, because I want the scene to continue to grow and flourish. I support the events, the Goth Nights, the Cruise, Dark Force Fest. I do as much as I can to support all of that, because I want the scene to continue to grow. And, so to me, the most important part is the community. But I understand people definitely have opinions on the whole, is it clothing or is it music? And that's fine. They can have those opinions.
Got into college, I started to get into punk rock, but that's a story for another time. So now,
this is funny because I initially leaned more punk rock, like right out of high school. Right out of high school, I moved up to Northern Virginia, right outside of Washington, D.C., and that's where I started going to all the goth clubs, but at the time they were goth punk clubs. So I started out a little more on the punk side of things, and then slowly evolved into the goth side of things. And then there was a period of time when raves started, like right there, like probably around 94, 95. I mean, it probably started earlier in other cities, but in DC, that's about when it really started to take off. And I watched half of my goth friends desert goth and become ravers. And I did not do that. I did have a brief graver phase because I was going to raves with my roommates and friends who were all ravers. But I never, once I fell into the goth thing, I never gave up the goth thing.
On to the main question. What is it about goth girls that I like so much? To put it simply, I
Ooh,
felt
now we're
seen
getting
by
to
the
the
way
meat of
they
it.
were depicted in the media I was watching, which was outcasted and real. They didn't care about keeping up with the other girls or following trends. They were intelligent and could see through the bullshit, and the fashion was great too. And that's exactly what I wanted. When I was in high school, I thought I was unique for this. At the time, I was still under the notion that everyone was chasing after the popular girls. As I got older, I started to discover that I was not as unique as I thought. There were a lot of other people that discovered the subculture.
Ooh, I had my own little high school thing about this. Like in high school, I wore a lot of black. I wore black all the time, and I wore combat boots. And then I discovered that wasn't unique and that wasn't different. Because there was one person in my high school that was alternative, and she actually became my best friend, and she was the first person I moved out of my small town, Woodstock, Virginia, with to Northern Virginia. But when I first found out, there was this whole community that loved Edgar Allan Poe, that wore all black, that wore combat boots. You know, even though I did, like I said, started out more on that punk side with like NoFX and Rancid, and I can't even remember anymore because I don't listen to that much anymore, ever, really. But I was obsessed with NoFX. But anyway, all that's beside the point. I saw NoFX live at the 930 Club at the old space, when 930 Club was this tiny, dingy little, like, dive bar before they became that big venue. Okay, I've gone off on another tangent. I gotta stop. I gotta get back to this. But yeah, so I went through that same thing where I thought I was unique and I thought I was on to something different. And then when I discovered there was a whole community like that, I had this weird mix of excited that there were other people with whom I shared all these interests, and depressed that I wasn't unique.
Culture the same way I did. And there are a lot of, shall we say, goth-adjacent things that are popular now that don't help ease the confusion. Now, in Angela's video, she says that goth girls being the secret fetish of jock guys is nothing new, and that it's in part to the wrongly assumed overlap between goth and BDSM/kink culture. And while that may be true, I don't think it's just jocksing. I've noticed that all over fandom and pop culture in general, the goth or otherwise edgy outcast characters certainly had a fan base of their own.
And we did talk about that a lot when I reacted to Stephanie's video about how to get a goth girlfriend.
I mentioned Raven and Sam earlier, but that's barely all of them. There are so many goth and goth-like characters in everything from comic books to mainstream movies and TV. Horror and monsters in general have been in the spotlight for some time now. As a matter of fact, Google recently had a big search and find activity for their 25th anniversary, and as you progressed, you would be rewarded with a list of the most searched things from the past 25 years. And according to the most searched subcultures list that you get after completing the music category, punk and goth were the top two most searched subcultures of the past 25 years. Hip-hop was placed at number 3, which was shocking to me. I say this to say, I don't feel like I have a true understanding of what it means to be goth today, and a huge reason for that is that it clashes with this idea I have about goth being outcasted, alternative, and edgy, or, in other words, the counterculture. Sure, one could say it's an alternative to the status quo, which is true, but I don't find it very underground anymore. Everyone knows about it, and everyone wants a piece of it. People throw the word goth around for things that don't even really apply to it. And I know that monsters and horror aren't owned by the goth community, but
I just really quick wanted to jump in, and because back in the late 90s, early 2000s on eBay, I would get so annoyed because any piece of black clothing, they would put the goth label on to get, for the search rhythms. I'd be like, this is not goth. Just because it's black, it's not goth. And then I found myself doing that when I started selling online.
so much of the aesthetic is built on that, among other things. And everyone from indie game devs to Disney have been riding on the spooky Halloween monster train for a while now. I just feel that so much of goth's identity is out there in the open, with everyone's own interpretation of what they think the scene is. Even the pop stars and celebrities are introducing a little bit of this gothic edge into their fashion. And for the general public that doesn't know better, they represent the community, and it's not true or accurate. All of this confusion has kind of kept me from using the goth label myself, as much as I really want to. I'm worried I won't be doing it in a way that does the authentic goth subculture any justice. Now,
It's funny because I feel like my own journey into goth is like parallel to his, because I refused to label myself as a goth all through the 90s, even though I very clearly was. And I didn't embrace that label until the late 90s, early 2000s, even though like my punk phase probably only lasted for like a year. So from like 91 to 92 was like my punk phase. And then I started, you know, becoming more goth. So it's just funny how I feel like our journeys are like similar, even though we're probably 2 decades apart or more. Actually, 52 decades would only be 30, so we might even be 3 decades apart or around there. But it's just funny how our journeys are so similar.
oh, I know that the music is supposed to be the key to determining the difference between real and poser, but I found that a lot of non-goths also enjoy goth music. Bands like Depeche Mode and The Cure are enjoyed by virtually everyone, it seems, whereas bands like Sizzy Gix, The Jesus and Mary Chain, and Drab Majesty are deeper into the goth music scene, but how can one be sure that what they're listening to is authentic? And if you are sure that what you're listening to is certified premium goth tunes, does the look not matter? Basically what I'm talking about is, if you have a person with a dark taste in music, but they dress like a normie, and another that's clad in black and chains, but their music taste isn't goth, who is more goth than the other? If the normie were to call themselves a goth, would they be believed? Now, I'm not just gonna walk up to someone and challenge them on their music taste to test if they're a poser or not, because that would be ridiculous. But I'm just trying to illustrate how difficult it can be to find the truth amidst all the noise. And this isn't just to the fans, but to the artists as well. There are a lot of musicians out there that dress in all black and have an alternative look to their branding, but aren't goth in the slightest. Everyone is dark and spooky these days, and it just makes it so difficult to know what's what anymore. Why do you care though, Spin? You may be asking. Because I don't want the goth community to be reduced to a stereotype that it never was. I know that some older alternative folks may say that they're happy that the young goths of today are able to express themselves and that they don't have to deal with being attacked like they were back in the day. And I can certainly agree with that, because
I will have to say, for the most part, I was never, like, even back in the 90s and even in a small town like Winchester, where I lived for a large portion of the 90s, Winchester, Virginia, I was very lucky that I wasn't really ever attacked for my style. Occasionally there'd be small things, like I'd be walking in the mall and someone would be walking behind me whistling the Addams Family theme song or something like that. But for the most part, I was very lucky that I never was like, there was never any aggression or negative response to my style. So that is one part of, I know a lot of goths experience that I was fortunate to not really have.
it should have never happened. But the doors they opened weren't just for the goth community, but for everyone. So while I think their intention was good, I think the end result has lessened the control the goth community has on their own subculture. Well, that and, of course, the internet. But let's bring it back home. In my opinion, the goth community isn't what it once was. It's very popular now, and everyone wants a piece of it. And it's because of this that you will find there are a lot of people that are interested in the subculture, but not because they were introduced to the music first. And changing anyone's mind on anything is not an easy task. As far as the fetishization, I agree with Angela in the sense of it not being a new thing, but I think that goth's rise in popularity has introduced a lot of new players into the game, making the situation way more difficult to manage. To these new players, however, I highly recommend doing your homework and learning what the community is really about, and listening to the music. If you're looking for someone to teach you, I highly recommend Angela Benedict, of course. Her channel is all about her experience being a goth in the 90s, along with various DIY tips for goth fashion, among other things. And while I still feel like there is so much more to say, I'll save it for another video. So if you liked this video, I'd really appreciate it if you hit that like button and click subscribe for more. And leave me a comment. What did you think? Something I missed? Agree? Disagree? Let me know in the comments below. And I'll see you guys in the next one.
So obviously I am going to link his video down in the description box below, so you guys can go and leave your comments on his video, or and watch his video without me interrupting. So my overall wrap-up opinions on this video: he's really good. He's really good at doing a commentary style video. His editing is on point. I enjoyed his pacing was great, so I really enjoyed watching the video, and I gave you my opinions on his points along the way. But I do think it's fun how even though different generations, we had a similar experience coming into goth. So I think that's really cool. I imagine that's probably true for a lot of us. Gothic stereotypes, as we discussed in the other video of Stephanie's I reacted to, are stereotypes for a reason. But yeah, no, I thought that was a fun video. I definitely agreed with a lot of his points, but as I said, in the end, to me, the music isn't even super important. It's the community that's important. Support the Gothic events in your area. Support, if you have a local goth club, support that event, and then all that leads you to the music. All that will lead you to the music. You're going to develop a taste for it by being constantly exposed to it at some point. That's, I guess, kind of what happened to me, because like I said, I started in high school with the all black and the Edgar Allan Poe and the writing depressing poetry, which thank God is gone, because I'm sure that would have been embarrassing to bring any of that up. But I didn't have a framework for the music. So for me, it started out with other parts of what would lead into goth. I didn't even have a title for it, because I didn't know what goth was when I was in high school. It wasn't until I moved to Northern Virginia, discovered the clubs and the scene, that I began to slowly really fall into it. But I had a touch of it going on for me before that even happened. So for me, I don't necessarily think it has to be the music has to be the focus, but a love for finding the beauty in sadness and the darkness and the different things, I think is a big part of the first steps for it, because that leads you into the fashion and the music. So yeah, that's it. Let me know what you thought about his video down in the what's that called? The comment section below. I can't believe I'm always forgetting what the comment section is called. Go check out his video. I don't even know if did I ever even tell you that his channel name is spin-77. But all that's going to be linked down in the description box below. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you did enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up, and let me know if you're enjoying these reaction videos, because I do have fun doing them. And maybe YouTube will suggest another video to me at some point I'll want to react to. And again, let's get back to the closing, Rachel. You're losing track again. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you did enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you didn't enjoy the video, of course, you can give me a thumbs down, and please tell me all about it in the comments below. And please subscribe to the channel. And I hope everyone is just staying happy, healthy, and safe in this incredibly crazy world we're living in. And I will talk to you all soon. Bye-bye.